Hey everyone, today we're going to talk about image tracking and how to avoid this. Nobody wants to do a lot of hard work and then have it look like crap, right? I'm just going to say it like it is. Nobody wants this jittery mess at all. This is what you really want. Let's do this. All right, here's the first image I used that was all flaky. So let's talk about this. So I have it in our system, and you'll see that there's a score on it. It says 76.5. Well, text and logos, like certain text, especially sans serif, like Arial, is a little bit harder in most cases because it doesn't have a lot of points. Something like Times New Roman or other serif fonts will have a little bit more points to grab onto. But ideally, if you look into our style guide here, we have the options that show you what makes a good marker and a bad marker so you can get a better tracking. If you notice it's a little jittery, ideally you want to use a print that you're making. Usually pre-existing ones in some ways, some of them work, some of them were not made with tracking in mind. So a simple logo or text is not the best ideal choice in so many ways, especially when you look at the detail in the style guide. There's a lot of information here. I take the time to look at it. Text, stay away from lots of text. An image with entire paragraphs written in text will not be good for trackability or recognizability. Repeated letters will look identical to one another and will not provide distinct features to track or recognize. What about logos? Simple logos or basic shapes will not work because they lack detail. Stick to more involved logos, perhaps with a unique image in the background. So I see this happen all the time in people making marker-based AR. Now, it's nobody's fault. I mean, when I first started this 10 years ago, first thing I did was upload my logo. And in an app environment, you have a lot more control of making it, especially when you're a developer, to optimize it and make it work as best across the board. Building a system that can handle billions of images across unique data sets for every user on a global system is a little bit more challenging in some ways, and that's why we have the recognizability score as we move into always-on augmented reality down the road. We're built for that Tomorrowland, just not utilizing it to its full potential today. So our new system that we're going to bring out using a little bit more AI, just to catch a couple of things like this that come through the system. If I was to upload this next week, this is the score we'd actually get. It's just a select file and go back to the that image. We'll notice that it's unusable. So we'll get that metric to help our users as our system grows to be able to avoid the pitfalls of and give more feedback with AI versus how it can work and why it might not work, so that you understand the best tracking. So instead of just using a logo or a simple graphic with a lot of text, what I've done, I'm just going to select a new file. I've created this other document, this other image, with a lot more detail on it. So what this does, this allows me to have also the QR code on it. So if you add a QR code, that also helps the tracking because it's another anchor point. With this particular image, so if there's no information in the corners and I'm looking at the center, as I'm looking away from it, and as I look towards that upper corners, you lose tracking because nothing's there to grab onto. So therefore, the image itself is trying to balance on top of that. So if it just has horizontal tracking across the one part of the card, imagine if you were standing on a log on the water and trying to balance yourself. The computer vision's locked to that spot, but that image as a whole is uploaded, so it's looking for other sometimes if you have bleed off the edges and it's full color, it might be looking where that ends. There's a lot of different factors within that we've got built into the back end of the system that you don't have to worry about until you have to worry about it. But that's why we're solving these issues by making as many tools as we can to help you as the creator understand the best way to make a better marker. So in this case, I'm just going to bring this in. And now I'll have that new image. Just move this video down so we can actually see that has been changed. Let's just go back to the other one so you can see how easy it actually is to change. So all you have to do is go to Cast Properties, and all you have to do is go select a new file, and you can either design a Canva or upload your own image. In this case, I'm going to grab the old image for now, and we'll update that and you'll see how that is part of your background to help you with that. What you see is what you get layout. I'm just going to switch back to the other image. And we'll just go to our tracking image analyzer. So this is another tool set that's going to be added to our studio so you can get a visual representation of what's going on. So let's just grab the old logo for a second, and we'll see that all the key points are concentrated on the majority of the text itself. So anything that, as the phone's looking at an image, anything in these areas is going to cause the system to go, as you move away from the points it's tracking and it loses tracking, it's going to become fluttery. If you hold the phone really still and look at it bang on, the marker will stabilize and the content will stay on top. But as soon as you start moving that phone, the computational values start going, okay, well, let's try and keep it on there, and it's missing some of those points. So that's why when you take something like this to add more information to the actual overall and spread out the tracking across the area, you get a much better result. I recommend putting the QR code for the actual cast on the image itself. So therefore, when the user actually scans the QR code and opens it up, the instruction set is already there for them to understand how to use the AR itself. Without any kind of marker, you have to tell them using or any other way of education, you have to let them know via the URL or other means. This keeps it nice and clean. I scan the QR code, it comes up as this lineup image, and therefore I already know what to do. Now, to illustrate this further, just one more time, let's take that old image back on this system. We'll just go update, and we'll go save. Now keep in mind, even though the save is very fast, if you change the actual marker image itself, it may take up to a minute on the server before it will actually track the image. So even if you see even when it's done saving, give it an extra minute before you actually scan the image, because it may not work. We'll try this, and I'm just going to refresh the element here, but let's just quickly grab this. And let's just refresh this cast. It'll have the new image on there telling me to line up, and it may not track, but it might be in the system. Okay, it's good to go. But it's going to be a lot more like that, which is what we don't want. You see how fast it loses tracking as well? That is not a good experience. Following the style guide and other elements that we've put into the system, and it will get better over time, will really make this more robust. And we've put those tooltips and elements in there to help you as a creator understand new ways of making things that will be their best to use in WebAR. Keep the traditional, of course, by adding a little bit more of bridging that gap between the tool sets of today with traditional printing, and be able to make the best experience and find that balance between simple and complex, because you do have to add a little bit more, but you can get away with simple objects and you can still keep it clean as well. This design is clean, and most of the other designs I do are actually clean as well, but it's the trade-off of using a web-based system with many users on it versus an app-based system where you could code the element to be stronger as well. But we're bringing out more tools every day to make better experiences overall with AI as well as feedback. So please keep on using us. I can't wait to see what you create.